With the laurels come in the criticisms. A case absolutely true for the latest web series Made in Heaven, now out with its second part. Just a few hours after the creators addressed the snowballing controversy around author Yashica Dutt claiming formal credit, they found themselves on the receiving end of flack from veteran fashion designer Tarun Tahiliani, who's now accused the show of quote-unquote violating the understanding behind the provision of clothing. In a series of Instagram stories, Tarun Tahiliani has claimed that an episode of Made in Heaven in fact used his designs sans credit and that he didn't know his creations would be presented by a quote-unquote fictitious designer on the show. Tarun Tahiliani, posting screenshots of the episode featuring Ronald Thakur, wrote that it is unfortunate when a popular OTT series violates the understanding behind the provision of clothing in the very first place. Calling it a shocking breach of faith, Tarun Tahiliani's statement was signed off with these words, and I'm quoting from his statement. Let's hope that this scenario does not repeat itself with other designers who have graciously lent their work for OTT productions. Furthermore, it is our hope that such actions will never be considered acceptable in the future. Unquote. Now, prior to this, Yashica Dutt, an alumnus of the Columbia University and the author of Coming Out as Dalit, alleged that the show's creators based the character portrayed by Radhika Apte in episode 5 on her life story without her permission and without offering proper credit. Responding to these claims, Zoya Akhtar in fact posted a comprehensive note on Instagram refuting Yashica's claims. It should be noted here that Neeraj Gevan, who in fact is the director of that very episode, acknowledged Yashica Dutt and her book in an Instagram post explaining that a particular scene in the episode was inspired by the events in her life. And yet, Zoya's note went on to say that the central conflict of the episode is whether Pallavi, the character that's been played by Radhika Apte, whether she should have to fight the wedding rituals that are a signifier of her identity or not. Further denying any claim that Yashica's Dutt life or work was appropriated by them, the note read, and I'm quoting from that note, that in the episode, Pallavi Menke mentions her grandmother's backstory. This narrative of cleaning toilets was included because it's a common history that came up recurrently in our research of the community. Pallavi Menke's fictitious book, Denied, is a hat trip to several books like Ants Among Elephants by Sujata Giria, Caste Matters by Suraj Yengde, Coming Out as Dalit by Yashica Dutt, and also the Tarshi article by Sumit Bodh. Yashica, in her note, had in fact mentioned that before she came out as Dalit in 2016, there was no vocabulary to identify the process of revealing that lack of privilege. Earlier, there were no characters on screen who were humanized beyond their suffering, but today, Dalit directors like Neeraj Gevan are revolutionizing the cinematic language by showcasing unapologetic Dalit characters in Hindi cinema. She signs off by saying that there is a need to set that precedent for giving credit where it's due instead of what is now a common practice in streaming world, and that's how she chooses to present it as taking it without permission first and then apologizing later.